Welcome to BizSimplified. In today's explainer, we're going to master the ultimate business balancing act, market equilibrium. We're taking these classic microeconomic principles and making them actually useful with a real-world and honestly pretty tasty case study. So whether you're pricing a brand new startup or you just want to decode how global markets actually tick, this is the foundational knowledge you absolutely need. Let's just dive right in. Here's the roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with finding the market balance, pinpoint that equilibrium sweet spot, tackle handling excess supply, and managing excess demand, and finally, look at shifts in market dynamics. All right, part one, finding the market balance. To really grasp how prices are set out there in the wild, we have to look at the constant tug-of-war between buyers and sellers. Take a look at these demand and supply schedules for a theoretical ice cream cone business. It is a literal side-by-side of opposing motivations. Looking at the demand schedule, at $0, people obviously want a ton of ice cream, 19 cones to be exact. But hike that price up to $3 and demand completely tanks to just one single cone. Then, look at the supply schedule. At $0, yeah, the supplier isn't making a single cone. But at $3, they'd be absolutely thrilled to pump out 13 of them. The two sides are completely at odds. Part two, the equilibrium sweet spots. So how do these two opposing forces ever agree on anything? Well, in academic terms, they find market equilibrium. It's the exact point where demand and supply intersect and perfectly equal each other. If you graph it out, it's that precise price where the downward-sloping demand curve crosses the upward-sloping supply curve. Right at that crosshair, the quantity supplied and the quantity demanded are perfectly matched. And looking back at our ice cream data, we can spot that magic number. It's exactly $2. At $2, the quantity our business wants to supply is 7 cones, and that perfectly matches the 7 cones the market is demanding. There's zero waste, nobody's left hungry. It is a perfectly optimized state of business. Which brings us to part three, handling excess supply, or as it's better known, a surplus.
Look, businesses don't always nail the pricing on day one. What if we get a little greedy and price our ice cream above that equilibrium sweet spot? Let's say we set the price at $2.50. We're highly motivated, right? So we are eager to supply 10 cones. But at that higher price, consumer demand drops off a cliff. Only 4 cones are demanded. The result? A massive surplus of 6 cones. Mathematically, our quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded. And in the ice cream game, that just means melting inventory and a freezer full of regret.
Here's where it gets interesting. The market naturally reacts. To clear out that melting inventory, suppliers are basically forced to slash prices. That excess supply creates this undeniable downward pressure on the price, organically pushing everything back down toward that $2 equilibrium. Part 4, managing excess demand, meaning a shortage. Let's flip the script. What if we totally underestimate our worth and price too low? At just $1.50, the market goes wild. 10 cones are demanded. But at that price point, it's barely worth turning on the machines, so we only supply 4. Now we've got a frustrating shortage of 6 cones, and probably customers fighting over the last scoop. Here, the quantity demanded drastically outpaces what's supplied. Just like before, the market steps in. With all these desperate buyers and not enough ice cream, customers are literally willing to bid up the price just to get a cone. We, as the suppliers, realize we have the leverage to hike prices without killing our sales. That excess demand creates an aggressive upward pressure on price, pulling our business safely back up to equilibrium. This dynamic right here is the golden rule of free markets. Anytime you drift out of balance, the market forces push you back. A surplus naturally forces prices down, while a shortage forcefully pulls prices up until balance is totally restored. It's an incredible diagnostic tool. Got a crazy wait list? Your price too low. Warehouse bursting at the seams? Your price too high. All right, final section, part 5, shifts in market dynamics. Up till now, we've treated the world like it's static, but markets practically never sit still. We have to look at what happens when entirely new variables completely shift our baseline supply or demand. Say the cost of milk skyrockets. That decreases our overall supply, shifting the entire curve. The result? Our new equilibrium price rises, but the total quantity in the market falls. On the flip side, what if it's the middle of winter and a cold front destroys demand? Well, then both our new equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity will fall. Now check out this matrix. It is an incredibly powerful analytical tool that maps out every possible combination of these shifts. Look closely at what happens when both curves move at the exact same time. For instance, What if market demand increases but your supply simultaneously decreases? Like, say, during a massive heat wave, right when your main delivery truck breaks down. In that scenario, your price will absolutely increase, no question, but your final equilibrium quantity, that remains completely ambiguous. It depends entirely on which shift was mathematically larger. Basically, this matrix gives you a predictable framework for almost any macroeconomic shock. So we've unpacked the academic theory, walked through a very real ice cream case study, and analyzed the invisible forces that push a market to its absolute sweet spot. Now that you understand the mechanics of surpluses, shortages, and dynamic shifts, the real question is, how will you apply these concepts to optimize your own business decisions? Are you going to spot the signs of excess demand during your next launch, or anticipate a price shift way before your competitors do? Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and keep simplifying those business strategies.